A message that Source has been wanting me to bring forth is a message regarding consistency. And if you grew up in a household where you were constantly living in survival mode, consistency can seem really, really hard because you're constantly just doing what it takes to survive. And this can look like, you know, waking up and just automatically just jumping right into your day. There's not really any routine. You're just doing what you can to get by. You're doing what you need to do to get to the next moment, to the next experience, and living from a place of chaos, disorganization. It can look so many different ways, but I'm just speaking from my experience and my example of growing up in my childhood and what it was like and what it felt like to not have any consistency, and why I recognize how that's made its way into my adult experience. And so I want to kind of share how we can begin to reframe what consistency looks like as someone who possibly had to deal with being in survival mode for a majority of their life. As we are expanding and growing as spiritual beings, and we are healing and figuring out what that looks like for us, we are healing our nervous systems, and your nervous system is no longer having to be in fight or flight. And so as you're doing this, you develop new habits, you develop new routines, you develop new ways and methods of making sure that you are no longer dealing with reactivity, and instead you're moving from a place of intention. And why is this important? Because when you're moving from a place of intention, this is when you can create consistency, because you are now opening yourself up to your higher self, to your heart center, and following the path that was designed for you, the path that you came here to follow. But when you're in survival mode, we tend to be closed off and locked off from that path or that inner voice or your intuition, your higher self. And so the purpose of this is, once you start healing and opening yourself up to Source and opening up your channels and opening up to all of your spiritual gifts and your purpose, you will begin to see that consistency doesn't mean waking up at 5 a.m. every single day, going to the gym, doing an ice plunge, and posting every single day on social media 20 times a day. That's not consistency, because sometimes that is coming from a place of ego. It's coming from a place of lack. And that is what creates burnout, and that's why people are having a hard time with consistency, because they're not operating from the heart center. But in order to get to the heart center, you have to open yourself up. You have to clear out the blockages. You have to work through the traumas. You have to do the nervous system regulation. You may even need to do a cleanse. You may need to detox. You have to clear out your vessel in order to hear these channels loud and clear and hear these messages. And you start to come into alignment. And this is what I was talking to a friend about the other day, about how consistency gets really easy when you're aligned. And so all of that I mentioned previously is what alignment feels like. When you're open to the things that feel natural, the things that start to click, and you're like, wow, this is what I'm meant to do, this is why I'm here. It's when you get into alignment that consistency no longer becomes a chore, it no longer becomes a job. It's not something that you have to think about, you just do it, right? And so one of the things that prompted this conversation that I've had with multiple people is just the fact that I've been feeling so consistent in my creativity, but it's because I am not basing it on like posting every day. That's not what I'm here to do. What I'm here to do is take my inspiration and turn it into a form of self-expression to then share with other people who resonate with what I have to say, or what I have to share. And instead, in the past, it was I would feel inspired, I would create, and it just kind of would sit there. Or I would feel inspired and I wouldn't do anything with it. But now I feel consistent because I am not attached to the ego's idea of consistency, which would have been You're inspired, you create, you post every day. I don't get inspired every single day, and I don't create every single day. And that's what the beauty of this whole thing is that when I do create, it's coming from a place of inspiration and not a place of desperation. So why is consistency hard for a lot of people? It's because they are out of alignment and they're not walking in the path that was designed for them to walk in. They're walking in someone else's path, or they're walking in the path that they believe to be theirs. And so when you get into alignment, and there are so many methods and ways that you can do this, you're probably already on that path if you're watching this video. But when you begin to come into alignment with who you are and who you're meant to be, consistency, you'll find your definition of what consistency means. And you'll feel even better about it. It'll be easy. It won't feel like a chore. It won't feel like you're going against your natural state of being. For example, I'm someone who needs to rest in between creative sessions or creative work days or whatever the case is. And I value my rest because that's where I'm able to reset. And I'm able to come back and give it my all and give it my best, but only because I know I need to rest. Whereas before, I was one of those people who was like, you know, you need to be super regimented, you need to wake up at this time, you need to do all these things that these gurus are telling you to do. But no, ultimately it comes back to knowing who you are and what you need in order to succeed. And what you need in order to feel aligned, feel like you can do consistency without an issue. So, yes. So that was really what's been heavy on my mind lately, is just redefining what consistency looks like for you, coming from a place of alignment, and remembering who you are and acting in that, and having grace for yourself. What works for you is not going to work for the next person, and vice versa. What works for them may not work for you. So just being very open about that, and like I said, having grace that it's going to be a learning process, and that's okay. But yeah, just recognizing that it's not your fault, and that you have the ability to change it and to make it whatever you want it to be. That's the beautiful thing about all of this. And so don't feel bad if you are struggling with being consistent. Maybe focus on aligning with your purpose, with your path, with your passion, with your skills, your gifts, your abilities, and the consistency will happen. Consistency looks like going to events that align with what it is that you want to do. It looks like meeting people consistently who are aligned with what it is that you want to do. It means doing one thing for yourself each and every day, whether it be meditation, whether it be going for a walk, whether it be journaling, something that is for you. And it can look however that might look, you know? Consistency can be, I'm going to make a home-cooked meal 3 nights out of the week. And I'm going to make sure that it's giving me life and not taking life away from me. That's consistency. To me, consistency is a promise to your true self. Knowing and trusting that the end goal that you have in mind will come forth. And holding true to that for you and yourself and no one else. Like, I think an accountability partners, mentors, coaches, teachers are great. But ultimately, your job is to take in the information that you're learning from them and decipher what works best for you and apply it. And then you hold yourself accountable to all of that. So I started this message basically talking about how we grow up in survival mode, and as adults, as people navigating, spiritual beings navigating this world, we sometimes wonder why things don't work out the way that we want them to, but maybe it's just a minor blockage that we have to address, bring awareness to, and then make the choice to work through. And what I've seen is that consistency is one of those big blockages that a lot of people are struggling with, that a lot of spiritual beings are struggling with at this point in time, because we have these grand ideas, we have these major missions that we've been given, and now it's up to us to actually put in the work to bring it into 3D. And it does take some energy, it takes some time, it takes some consistency. That is my message for today. And if you struggle with consistency, try a different approach. Try coming up with a grand idea that may sound crazy to you in the moment, but as you try it, as you go through it, you'll watch as it resonates with you. Because it's something that you came up with. It's something that you pulled out of the ethers from your own intuition and applied. And watch as the magic happens. Watch as you start to see and develop a life of beauty, because you have found out what it looks like to be consistent for you and showing up for yourself and all those beautiful things. But I'm going to enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. The sun is shining, getting a little tan. I'll see you guys next time.